Hi, I'm Jen from Tea Leaves and Tweed, and welcome to Isolation Baking. This week I'm doing something a little bit special in honor of Mother's Day, which is coming up in the United States this weekend. And I'm actually doing a two-part video. The first part being a baking project that is going to be revealed in its full glory on Sunday for a very special Mother's Day tea session. So today, I'm going to be making a recipe out of the Settlement Cookbook, which is one of my oldest cookbooks and one of my favorite cookbooks. It is the cookbook that I have used the longest. I have been using this cookbook in one form or another since I was a child. It has actually been in print since 1901. The first edition came out. And this was the cookbook that my mother had that we used for all of our basic recipes, and then when I moved out and got my own place, she bought me my own copy. So I'm going to be making gingerbread out of the Settlement Cookbook with a couple of little tweaks, and then tell you why on Sunday at a very special tea session. So you'll have to subscribe and keep an eye out for Sunday's video so you can see the thrilling conclusion to this baking video. But for now, let's bake. So this recipe has quite a few steps. So I'm going to start by creaming my butter and sugar together. So I have 1 stick of salted butter, because this is an old recipe and it doesn't have extra salt in it. And I have softened that, and to that I'm going to add a cup of sugar. And I'm going to cream that together. So now that that is all creamed together, I'm going to add my egg. This is 1 large egg. And we'll just beat that in. So now that is all creamed together. I'm going to set this aside. And then the next thing I need to do is set up my fruit. Now this gingerbread has currants in it. And I'm also going to take the liberty of adding a little something extra, and I'm adding some of my homemade candied peel. So this is maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of chopped candied peel. And then to this, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of currants. Break those up a little bit. To keep the currants from sinking in the cake, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of flour and just kind of stir those together with my hands. So now we'll set that to the side. So now in a bigger bowl, we're going to take 1 cup of buttermilk. This is cultured buttermilk. You can also use milk that's gone sour. And then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking soda to our buttermilk. And stir that together, and it'll foam up a bit. And then to that, we're going to add 1 cup of molasses. And then stir that all together. And now we're going to sift in our dry ingredients, which is another 2½ cups of flour. And of course, because this is a gingerbread cake, we have to have spices. So we have some ground ginger. And we want 2 teaspoons of this. And you actually want to use dried ground ginger for a gingerbread cake, because dry ginger and fresh ginger have very different flavors, and the gingerbread flavor actually comes from using dried ground ginger. And then it calls for a teaspoon of mixed spices, which is cinnamon and cloves, it says in the recipe. So I'm going to use 3/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. And 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, excuse me, because cloves tends to be very, very overpowering. And then you just kind of sift this in. And you want to fold in these dry ingredients. And fold in the fruit. And then add in your creamed butter, sugar, and egg mixture. And fold everything together until it's nice and combined and nothing is streaky. So now we've got our beautiful batter. Now I have a 10" by 10" baking pan that I've buttered and lined with some baking paper. I'm going to pour my batter in. And spread it out into the corners. You want to make sure it is a nice even layer. And then this is going to go into a 350° Fahrenheit oven for 30 to 45 minutes, or until a toothpick comes out clean. So now we have our beautiful gingerbread fresh out of the oven. It's still quite hot, but I'm not giving it a taste this time. In order to watch me taste it, you'll have to tune in on Sunday for a special second part of this video in which I share a special tea session with this gingerbread. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Isolation Baking, and I hope I see you again sometime, preferably on Sunday. Bye.